Well. Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on what part of the globe you're on and what time zone you are in. Just some housekeeping, don't mind me. I'm going to do a little sound check just to be sure. Let's see. I think, yep, okay, sound is coming in clear there. And let's see this one. Let me just double check, make sure everything's okay. And just double check, make sure. Yeah, it's my goodness. So it's coming in okay, but I can't tell if it's, oh boy. How's the picture? I don't know if I spelled that right. Is it coming in clear? Because that's what I want to know. I want to make sure I'm coming in clear. But let's see. Picture is still perfect. Okay, good. All right, then I won't worry about it. Well, I'll tell you what. I am in a bit of a festive mood. I feel great again. This is the second day in a row. I'm shocked. I really am shocked. Okay, so well, we're going to have to celebrate. We're going to do a little Calypso strawberry lemonade, and we're going to top it off with some Swedish vodka. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So the Arizona Maricopa County results finally came in. Not only did they find that Trump lost and Biden won, guess what else they found? More votes for Biden. And they found even fewer votes for the orange man, former Flop 45. I mean, Trump keeps losing and losing and losing. I can't get over how happy that makes me. It never ceases to boggle the mind. I don't understand what were people expecting? What were people hoping for? Right? I mean, there's no way. It's like people who just don't understand math. I guess. I don't know how else to explain it. Oh, this is good vodka. Ooh. Oh, they even have cocktail recipes on the back. Nice. Part sweet tea, pinch of salt, squeeze of lemon. Well, I have the strawberry lemonade. Oh, that's okay. Never mind. Whew. Sweet tea with salt and lemon, huh? Now this says tonic water, club soda, and squeeze of lemon. Well, maybe next time. But yes, the results are in, and right away they're automatically discounting the audit. They're saying, "Oh, that they cheated. They deleted votes prior to the audit." Now they're flipping the switch. They're flipping the script. Really, is what they're doing. Now they're saying, "Oh, well, we went and deleted votes that would have gone to Trump right before the audit happened." So my question then becomes, if information was deleted from these voting machines, How in the name of fuck do you even do an audit? If you know the numbers are going to be skewed, if you know there's fraud, why even do the audit? Just expose the deleted information. These people are the worst. I mean, they are the lowest quartile of. Oh, I just don't get it. I honestly do not get it. How do these people get their own shoes on by being this stupid and can't even speak, being so easily manipulated? It's just it just boggles the mind how stupid these people are. So this whole time they were telling us the truth is going to come out as soon as we're done with this audit. We're going to expose the corruption and the deep state. We're coming for you. If information was deleted prior to the audit was a waste of time. And you knew that going in. The people that conducted, these cyber ninja turtle scum fucks. I mean, ugh. It just, wow. We not only do we have an education problem in this country, we have an intelligence deficiency. I mean, of astronomical proportions. It just, I how do you explain it? How do you explain this skull fuckery that is going on? I don't know. I do not know. But no, they'll keep moving the goal. See, here's the problem. This is something my boss told me years ago. We're talking long time ago. Working at an old job from he told he told me this: you cannot reason with crazy people. You cannot reason. You just can't. You cannot have an honest conversation and get through to people. Now, when I say crazy, I mean people that are just delusional. I'm talking about people that are stupid on purpose. Okay. This has nothing to do with people that are special needs. Okay. That's not how I'm using the word crazy. Okay. So put the tomatoes down, please. But I just it just boggles the mind how stupid some people are, and it just goes on and on and on. I was hoping to get on Twitter, and for whatever reason, it's not letting me get on. I must be putting in the wrong. Ugh. Mm. But I wanted to show you a few things if it'll let me. Come on now. Yeah, it's not even okay. See if it'll let me here. Okay. There it goes. I must have been hitting the wrong button doing the password here. But I mean, here's it. Here's what I wanted to show you. Just a few things on Twitter, but it is complete insanity. What has been going on? I mean, these people have been getting away with murder. Now it won't even show me all of the ones I wanted to get to. Yeah, okay. But there were some posts of these people that were just, oh, I let me see if it'll pull it up. Her first name is Elizabeth. She's actually running for I think it's either the Senate or the House, and I keep forgetting. Yeah, the crazy never stops. No shit. No shit. Let's see if it'll. But I've been reporting this person like crazy. I mean, you want to talk about the most just the insanity. Oh, here's another one. Perfect example of this stupidity. This is Kayleigh McEnany. She was the Trump spokesperson, the press secretary. Murder rate under Joe Biden. Scary. Guess what? She shows the murder rates from all the way up into Trump's last year in office, and you can just see it spiked right in 2020. It's like, no, honey, Trump was still president. Sorry, dear, doesn't work. And yes, that is slightly misogynistic, and sorry if anybody's offended by that, but I'm directing it towards Kayleigh, and I'm sorry, I have no respect for her. This is a actual government document. This is what was released. This is from the office of Lauren Boebert. Okay? Lauren Boebert put this out. Proudly serving the 3rd District of Colorado. For immediate release, Representative Lauren Boebert introduces articles of impeachment against Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I'm shocked that she had Kamala Harris spelled correctly. Right at the very bottom, what do you notice there? Impeach Biden. Impeach. Or I'm each. Whatever. You've got the fucking word highlighted right, and it's not going to let me do it. Come on now. Right there. Article of impeachment. It's spelled for you right there. Spell check, probably. I mean, unbelievable. Proudly serving the 3rd District. The only good news I've got to say for Colorado in this district is 3rd District is getting redistricted this year. There is a good chance Lauren Boebert will not be reelected. And I tell you what, I need more vodka. I couldn't be happier. You know what? Fuck you, Lauren Boebert. As stupid as you are, my God, how do you even get your own shoes on in the morning? And this is the best you can give us. Impeach Biden. Thank you fucking very much. That's it. Congratulations. Congratulations. Sorry for those of you who are watching on YouTube. I should probably share screen. This is what Lauren Boebert shares with us. This is the best she can do. If it'll, oh my goodness, buffer. Come on now. Great. I lost it. Oh my goodness. Kellyanne Conway's alternative facts. Wow. Can you imagine that? That was before we thought that was the dumbest. No, the bar went even lower. Wendy Rogers, that's who it is. Yeah, here it is. Wendy Rogers, this piece of shit. Why is it? Thank you. Unbelievable. Wendy Rogers, the winner, Donald Trump. How in the world do you get Donald Trump as the winner? Your own audit showed it was incorrect. Your own audit says Trump lost. How do you get Trump won out of the audit that you people conducted? I okay. All right. Jeff Tiedrick, oh, bless his heart. Do you have any idea how ridiculous you are? No, she doesn't. It requires a, how do I say this? It would take it takes an element of self-awareness to realize, oh, I fucked up. Oh, I said the wrong thing. Oh, I did. No, these people are glorifying their ignorance. They revel in it. They enjoy being ignorant because it's opposite of the left. If the left exuberates intelligence, guess what they do? They go the opposite way. Olga says, don't people have to take psychological exams to be in the military? How was this disgraceful lying propagandist a pilot? Yeah. So evidently she was a pilot in the Air Force. America First, pro-Trump Republican in an Air Force pilot, biz, entrepreneur, homeschool mom, MAGA. How the fuck did you make it into the Air Force? And now she's an Arizona state senator. She used her position as a senator or as a pilot in the. She used her being a veteran as a platform to get into the United States government. How in the name of fuck did she make it in the Air Force? How low is the bar to be in the military? And the answer just popped into my head. When you're trying to nation build and basically colonize Iraq, Afghanistan, wherever, you literally will take any swinging dick or anyone, even as dumb and stupid as Wendy Rogers. You will take anybody. You will take anybody because you're desperate. In fact, they even enticed people to get involved into the Iraq war and the war in Afghanistan by promising them pension bonuses, sign-up bonuses. Oh yeah, you can, in fact, you can even go to school and this and that, and half the stuff they reneged anyway. They welched on quite a few of their deals. In fact, I mean, the military was taken to court quite a few times for not fulfilling the promises that they made to our servicemen and women. They were if they re-enlisted, they were promised bonuses. I mean, people literally mortgaged homes. They bought homes based on the promises that were made. And some of them ended up losing their homes because the government welched on their promises. It's like, yeah, well, they've been screwing our uniformed men and women as far back. I mean, go back to World War One. I mean, it's like why can't you just keep your promises to the people you send into the meat grinder, to the people you send off to war? Why can't you keep your goddamn fucking promises? What is so goddamn hard? They fought, bled, and died. And you made promises, government. Why can't you make sure that they have health care? Why can't you make sure that they don't go without a roof over the head? Why can't you get them treatment for PTSD? Anyway, I'm on a rant and I need to stop. But yeah, but Wendy Rogers, yeah, she went all in for Trump, literally lost her mind. She needs to take this word conservative out. There is nothing conservative about the cult of Trump. Nothing whatsoever. Conservatism is dead. There was no what do you actually conserve? What do you actually conserve? Conservatives of yore used to be against, they were for limited spending for government, reducing spending, usually for welfare for people that are struggling. Oh, when it comes to multi-billion dollar corporations, give them all the benefits they need, give them all the tax breaks. But for the rank and file, yeah, like Reagan and the welfare queens. Remember that? Oh, all of these welfare queens, they're driving Cadillacs. It's like, no, you dumb fucks, they're not. They're living in squalor. They're living in tenements. They're living in these the oh my god. They're living in Section 8 housing. You know, they're not they're not driving Cadillacs. You know who the biggest welfare queens are? Conservatives. Just this is free. The real the real welfare queens are the multi-billion dollar corporations that always have their hand out. They always have their hand out. They always ask for tax breaks. They exploit tax loopholes. And they're always asking for more. Give us more tax cuts. Those are the welfare queens. Those are the ones that are a danger to the country. They're not paying their fair share in taxes, and our infrastructure is literally crumbling. Bridges, roads, you name it. My fucking God. Yeah, Biden wins again. I mean, these people are literally getting ratio. They don't care. They don't give a goddamn. They don't care. Look at this. This is how she sees herself as a superhero. Look, I mean, these people are delusional. I mean, looking at them, you wouldn't think twice. You wouldn't think there was anything wrong. Look, these stupid fucking what I'm starting to hate the thumbs up sign. It's like, ugh. It's like you look at her, you look at Wendy, and it's like she doesn't. I mean, she looks normal. You wouldn't think anything of it. I mean, she looks like an everyday person, but she has literally lost her mind. She has lost her mind. She went over to the Trump of cult and she's gone. She's a goner. This is our, yeah, here's something else she wrote. This is our new Declaration of Independence. Really? This is from the Gateway Pundit. This is when the Gateway Pundit used to be funny. Let's read. What is this new declaration? Wendy Rogers unveils letter signed by 41 state legislators from 15 states calling for a nationwide audit and decertification. Yeah, this is 41 state legislators who have succumbed to the big lie. There literally no proof whatsoever showing that there was any fraud. They've been laughed out of court. Their cases have been dismissed one after a fucking another. They've been laughed out of court because there's no standing. They have no standing whatsoever. No proof, just allegations. I'm sorry, but that's not how proof works. Okay, let's read. Today we finally saw the long-awaited results of the Arizona State Historical full forensic audit of the 2020 Maricopa County election. Now, just to give you a little feedback, the forensic audit that they're referencing, what basically it was shining bright lights onto each ballot to see if maybe there's bamboo in the fibers, because they were convinced that China was sending ballots and mixing them into the real ballots. Does anybody see anything wrong with that scenario? Think about it. China sends bamboo-laden ballots and tries to mix them in to the regular ballots, and thus turn the tide over to Biden, basically stuffing the ballot box with bamboo fiber ballots. Okay, first of all, each ballot is given a secure it's given a unique identification number that is for a particular person. Okay. Election fraud is caught in real time. They can literally look at a ballot, scan it, and it can literally in real time tell you this is a fraudulent ballot. In fact, several Republicans even tried to vote they tried using dead relatives. They tried using false names, and they were caught in real time. Okay. It is literally that impossible to vote as another person, especially if the person is dead. They are literally being caught red-handed in real time. And we have news article after news article after news article exposing people that try to vote using people that are dead or people that don't exist. They are literally making the news. Okay, let's read on. Hundreds of Zonians, showed up to attend the audit's report's grand reveal. The gallery on the inside of the chamber was full, and a large crowd watched the live stream video from outside the building on a big screen that was set up earlier that day. Once the Senate hearing was finished, Arizona State Senator Wendy Rogers took the stage outside of the address to address the anxious crowd about the findings that confirmed thousands of fraudulent votes were counted in November. During her address, Rogers unveiled a letter that had been signed by 41 different legislators from multiple states calling for a nationwide audit and decertification of every state where fraudulent votes changed the outcome of the election. First of all, this has not been proven. This has not been shown to be true. Calling for a nationwide audit of decertification for every state where fraudulent votes changed the outcome of the election. Nothing couldn't be further from the truth. No state has been able to show where any fraud anywhere which changed an election. We literally have the capability of literally catching it in real time, which is why Russia does not even bother trying to infiltrate and hack an election. It literally it is cost prohibitive. There's no results that you can show that. I mean, you get caught. You literally get caught in real time. So the way Russia did it was through disinformation, like this. Like this. Yeah, they caught them and the crowd cheered. AZ audit team caught Maricopa County officials deleting computer election files. No, they did not. Okay, starting with Arizona. This is our new Declaration of Independence. This is our manifesto of freedom. No, you fucking idiot. Let's listen to Wendy Rogers in real time.
What an honor to be here today. This is a situation of states' rights. We are states of the United States.
What? Okay. I'm sorry. I got to back that up. Let's listen to that again.
We are states of the United States who gave the federal government their power.
We are states of the United States. I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time. Explain that to me. We are states of the United States that give the federal government their power. How in the name of fuck did this person make it through the Air Force? How in the world did they do it? Did they have somebody else? Did she have somebody else take her tests for her? Serious. I'm not trying to spread misinformation or conspiracy theories. I'm trying to find out how in the world did this person make it through the Air Force? How in the world did she do that?
And so, but for Arizona, I've traveled the country on a 5-week trip. And all the
Okay, but for Arizona, I've covered the country in a 5-week trip. Okay, so, but for Arizona, okay, I'm trying not to overthink this, but for Arizona, well, that doesn't even make any sense. Oh, she's not on a teleprompter. That's why. She's literally speaking off the top of her head. She's literally trying to wing this. She's not doing a good job. I'm sorry. This is not how you give a speech. You have to prepare your remarks ahead of time, write them down, whatever, or use a teleprompter so that way you don't misspeak. I mean, it used to be in the old days, you read your speech from a piece of paper that you had prepared ahead of time. She's rambling. What is she talking about?
These Americans come up to me and say, we're looking to you, Arizona. We're looking to you to find the truth.
No, the states are not looking to you for the truth. We already knew the truth. The ones who are still looking for an alternative fact are Trump supporters who bought into the big lie that the election was rigged. That is who you're referring to. This, do not take the states out of your mouth. You do not speak for the states. Okay? You are talking to Trump. You are speaking for Trump supporters who have bought into the big lie that the election was rigged.
Of what happened in 2020. The U.S. Constitution gives us the plenary power to oversee the U.S. presidential election.
Yes, but who is we? The election was already certified. Okay, the state already certified Joe Biden. You do not have the right to go and circumvent that certification just because you believe the liar in chief, which would be the former Flop 45, Trump.
And so today, you got the truth. And no matter what the left says, we will keep this in the narrative. We will stay focused. We will persevere. We will hold those who are criminally accountable. And now I want to read you something.
Okay, first of all, you've not held Trump accountable for anything, for any of the lies, any of the abuse of power, the violation of several acts, including the Hatch Act. You've not held Trump accountable at all. Also, as well, there was something else she said.
And now I want to read you something.
Okay, come on, where are you?
And now we will hold those who are criminally accountable. And now I want to read you something.
Okay. So before that, she said, now today you will know the truth. Okay. What is the date on this? September 24th. Now you will know the truth. So this is before the audit, the results were released. She was saying, now you will know the truth. She's referencing the audit, which had not released its findings yet. The audit that was finally released showed that Joe Biden was the winner. Joe Biden is the true winner. He won. In fact, the audit literally found more votes that was initially counted. So we literally missed votes, which, well, I mean, that's normal. When you use machinery, there is some error involved, but it's not enough to change the results of a fair election. We're talking not even a percent. Okay? And they found even more votes for Biden. Biden even won by more votes. Now we know the truth. Yes, we know the truth. Wendy, we know that Biden won. It's done. It's over. But she's going to go on.
This is our new Declaration of Independence. This is our manifesto of freedom.
What?
This is going out publicly right now. And this was signed by 40 state representatives,
41
state legislators, state senators from around the United States. And I'm going to read this to you.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's going to be a seminal moment.
I can't wait. Keep reading.
Memo for record. Letter from state legislators. People. Reference the 2020 presidential election.
Ah, damn it. They're not showing the full clip. Damn it. Okay, then she references the 41 assholes that wrote a letter to the American people calling for a 50-state audit. I'm sorry, but Maricopa County was a bust. You lost. Sorry, Wendy. You lost, Wendy. You're done. It's over. It's over. We're not no, you're not going to do 50 you're not going to do 50 states. Okay? Trump won Texas. Okay. Okay, let me just share this with you. Trump won Texas. We know this. It's been certified. Okay? More votes came in for Trump in Texas. It's not hard. We get it. We get it. We understand how it works. But now Trump is calling for a audit in Texas that he won. So people on, of course, on the left are saying, well, you know what? Okay. My goodness. If you insist, sure. Let's have another audit in Texas. Maybe it'll show that certain politicians maybe didn't win as big as they said they did. Okay, let's do it. Let's do an audit in Texas. Fine. Can't wait. Oh my God, these people are so stupid. I mean, they're incredibly stupid. I don't get how in the world they made it as far as they did. How did they do it? Oh my God. All right. I've gone far enough. Now that you know the insanity that has ensued, I mean, technically it was yesterday, but for me it was today. You'll have to forgive me. I'm on third shift. But Maricopa County showed that there was no fraud. None. You lost. It's over. Forget it. But now they want to recall Texas. And again, we're going to go into this book, The Founding Myth, why Christian nationalism is un-American. And I'm sorry it's taken this long to get started on the book, but I just wanted you to have a little taste of the day that I had watching the insanity of people who have checked out of reality and into alternative facts, because that's what this is. The Maricopa County showed that there was no fraud. Excuse me. The Maricopa County showed that there was no mishandling of anything. In fact, when I keep reiterating this, but when they showed the results, Biden won by even more votes. It's like, okay. And you want to keep on doing, do you people realize that you are being grifted? The people that are supporting the recounts, do you understand what is happening to you? What is happening? This is a money-making scheme, and you are falling for it. Do you understand the millions of dollars? The cyber ninjas cleared $6 million for 6 months worth of work. 6 months, they made $6 million. Congratulations, you idiots that gave to that. You contributed to the audit. And the audit, it's like, I mean, again, if information was deleted, you're even more stupid. You maggots, you gave your hard-earned dollars towards an audit that was doomed from the start. If information was deleted, again, if information was deleted, why would you give to an audit that you knew was going to fail? All right, on to the book, chapter 9. I'm sorry. Crime and punishment, biblical vengeance, or American justice. Never avenge yourselves, but leave room for the wrath of God, for it is written, vengeance is mine. I will repay, says the Lord. This is Romans 12, verse 19. Punishments I know are necessary, and I would provide them, strict and inflexible, but proportioned to the crime. Death might be afflicted for murder, perhaps for treason, if you would take out the description of treason, all crimes which are not such in their nature. Thomas Jefferson, in a letter to Edmund Pendleton, August 26, 1776. One of the starkest conflicts between biblical and American principles is how each treats the guilty. The Eighth Amendment provides that excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel or unusual punishment inflicted. Yet legislatures are tough on crime, and America executes more prisoners than any other first world country, landing on a list with China, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Pakistan, for most citizens executed. But that is nothing compared to the Bible, which overflows with barbaric, violent punishment and blood. Outside of the religious context, it would not be entirely fair to compare a modern justice system with the punishment norms of a tribe of a Bronze Age herdsmen. Interpreting history using modern values, known as presentism, is frowned upon by historians. Our society is less primitive than that uh, than the one that produced the Bible. So, how can we fairly judge history by the morality of today? Perhaps we shouldn't. But the history is not the issue. The issue is biblical religion and morality. Christian nationalists are claiming not only the archaic standards influenced the thought and actions of the founders many centuries later, but also the Judeo-Christian Christianity is the final authority on an absolute universal morality. Therefore, we should judge Judeo-Christianity as its moral claims by the highest moral code of any time. Stephen Fry made this point nicely. What is the point of the Catholic Church if it says, "Oh, well, we couldn't know better because nobody else did"? Then what are you here for? Presentism is besides the point when dealing with a theology that claims to be timeless, absolute, and perfect. The framers of the Constitution understood the social norms shift and accounted for these shifts using flexible language such as cruel and unusual, which defines a category of prohibited punishment in the Eighth Amendment. The words of the amendment are not precise and their scope is not static. The amendment must draw its meaning from the evolving standard of decency, that mark the progress of a maturing society. According to the Supreme Court, by building a standard that can mature, the founders recognized the morality and society and inevitably inevitably progress. The evolving standard is itself antithetical to the Judeo-Christian idea that morality was perfect. millennia ago. Indeed, the shifting standard indicts the religious moral absolutes. The God-given inflexibility of biblical and punishments is fundamentally opposed to the progressive standard in the Eighth Amendment. Judeo-Christianity's claims to the moral high ground makes it perfectly fair to point out its atrocities. For instance, that the Bible advocates burning people to death as punishment. Uh, Quote, when the daughters of a priest profanes herself through prostitution, she profanes her father. She shall be burned to death. Leviticus 21:9. The Lord said to Joshua, and the one who is taken as having the devoted thing shall be burned with fire, together with all that he has, for having transgressed the covenant of the Lord, and for having done an outrageous thing in Israel. And all Israel stoned him to death. They burned him with fire and cast stones on them. Joshua 7:10, 7:15, 7:25. Devoted things were the people and possessions of Canaan, which the Lord commanded the Israelites to destroy, as in devoted to the Lord for destruction. Joshua chapter 6, verse 17. The first example treats a daughter's action as a crime against her father. In the second, an entire family is burned for not giving a bit of gold and silver to Yahweh's treasury for the sack of Jericho. Sound familiar? The New Testament also advocates this brutal punishment. In John chapter 15, verse 6, Jesus says, whoever does not abide in me is thrown away like a branch and withers. Such branches are gathered, thrown into the fire, and burned. So promiscuous women, Sabbath breakers, idol worshippers, Jews, and non Christians should be gathered and burned. Those who do not willingly kill and steal at their God's commandment should be stoned, burned, and stoned again. Wow. Mm-mm-mm. Death by stoning, a punishment still used by extremist groups and in parts of the Muslim world, typically as a sentence for adultery. It is also mandated in the Bible. Unlike modern execution methods, stoning requires the entire community to take part in in ensuring all are responsible. This biblical punishment is imposed for relative minor crimes. The tribe of Israel was required to bludgeon their family and friends with rocks for following infractions, such as trivial as picking up stones on the Sabbath, working specifically collecting sticks on the Sabbath. Numbers chapter 15, 32 through 36. The Israelites found a man gathering sticks on the Sabbath. Those who found him gathering sticks brought him to Moses, Aaron, and the whole congregation. They put him in custody because it was not clear that what should be done to him. Then the Lord said to Moses, the man shall be put to death. All the congregation shall stone him outside the camp. The whole congregation brought him outside the camp and stoned him to death. Here's one for blasphemy. Leviticus 24:16. One who blasphemes the name of the Lord shall be put to death. The whole congregation shall stone the blasphemer, aliens as well as citizens. Okay, when the Bible uses the word aliens, what he is referring to are people that are literally outside of the children of Israel. They're literally people who are sojourning from other countries. I mean, think about that. This verse is literally commanding people who are visiting to take part in the stoning of anyone who violates the law of God. Think about that for a minute. This is the same book that people are getting their they're getting their morality from. This is opposite of morality. Wow. Shall be put to death. Notice that God's law differentiates between the members of the tribe, neighbors of the citizens, and aliens. Here, they receive the same punishment, but elsewhere, as we'll see, they are treated very differently. The penalty is reiterated in 1 Kings 21:10. Seat two scoundrels opposite him and have them bring a charge against him, saying, "You have cursed God and the king." Then take him out and stone him to death, suggesting another religion or God. Oh, heavens to Betsy's. Deuteronomy 13, verse 5 through 10. If anyone secretly entices you, even if it is your brother, your father's son, or your mother's son, or your own son or daughter, or the wife you embrace, or your most intimate friends, saying, "Let us go and worship other gods," you must not yield or heed any such person. Show them no pity or compassion, and do not shield them. But you shall surely kill them. Your own hand shall be first against them to execute them, and afterwards the hand of all the people. Stone them to death for trying to turn you away from the Lord your God. Do you understand the Christian nationalists, the fundamentalist Christians that are trying to infiltrate the government? This is the exact same thing that they would like to enact into law. This is the exact same thing. They would like to take cherry-picked Old Testament law, bring it in and make it law in this country. Do you understand the danger of allowing these people to have any authority in our government? Because you have to realize they do not hold to the Constitution. The Bible, to them, in their mind, supersedes the Constitution. It is over. Remember the verse, it is better to obey God rather than men. Okay? When you have that in mind, when you have that as your belief, your guiding light, your structure, the Old Testament, I mean, this we look at, okay, take for example, we look at other countries that observe Sharia law. Okay? Those are the people that are throwing gays off of roofs. They're stoning any people according to Sharia law, according to the law of Islam. This is pretty much carbon copy. So when you allow Christian nationalists to infiltrate your government, this is what they would like to see in this country. They do not give a damn for the Constitution. Okay? They will cite it. They will say, "Oh, we love the Constitution," and they'll make fun of the left, and they'll try to trap the left and say, "Oh, well, they're violating the Constitution." The Christian nationalists hate the Constitution because it stands in the way of a theocracy that they would like to see in this country. We have to recognize this. We have to see this. And we need to push back against these fanatics. It gets worse from here, folks. A stubborn child. Deuteronomy 21:18-21. If someone has a stubborn and rebellious son who will not obey his father and mother, then his father and mother shall take hold of him and bring him out to the elders of his town at the gate of that place, and they shall say to the elders of his town, this son of ours is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey us. He is a glutton and a drunkard. Then all the men of the town shall stone him to death. Think about that for a minute. All it takes is the word of a mother or father to bring who they claim is a rebellious son or daughter. I mean, there's nothing in this passage that suggests, wait a minute, let us investigate. Are the parents deranged? How do we know that the children are rebellious? A glutton and a drunkard? Think about that. If your children overeat, you can have them stoned by this very passage. A glutton and a drunkard. That means if your children were to get drunk and overeat, you could literally have them stoned to death by this passage. Do you see how stupid and absolutely, I mean, how deranged is this? How could anybody take this seriously? God, it gets worse. Being a medium or a wizard. Look out, Harry Potter, because look, Leviticus 20, verse 17. A man or a woman who is a medium or a wizard shall be put to death. They shall be stoned to death. Their blood is upon them. Anybody who claims to have contact with the dead, who can communicate between this life and the next. Having premarital sex. If you are a woman, think about this. Deuteronomy 22, verse 20-21. If evidence of a young woman's virginity was not found, then they shall bring the young woman out to the entrance of her father's house, and the men of her town shall stone her to death, because she committed a disgraceful act in Israel by prostituting herself in her father's house. Incidentally, if a man falsely accuses his new wife of premarital promiscuity, he is only fined. That means this: if a man marries a woman and then falsely accuses his new wife of being not a virgin or being promiscuous, he is fined. I mean, what do you think about that? Think about that for a minute. I could accuse my wife of not being a virgin and have her stoned to death. But if I'm found to be a liar, and if I'm found to be fabricating a story against my wife, I'm only fined. Think about that for a minute. It's worse for a woman than a man. A woman failing to cry out for help when she is raped. Deuteronomy 22, verse 23-24. If there is a young woman, a virgin, already engaged to be married, and a man meets her in the town and lies with her, you shall bring both of them to the gate of that town and stone them to death. And the young woman, because she did not cry out for help in the town, and the man, because he violated his neighbor's wife. Well, wait a minute. If there's no one to hear her, how can you prove that she didn't? How do you prove that she didn't cry out, "Oh, I'm being raped"? I mean, This is insanity. How in the name of fuck do you expect to how can any society exist with laws like this? It doesn't make any sense. Absolutely at all. Numbers 1 through 4 are crimes against God. Aha. And supposedly an all powerful God. Number 5 is punishment because it is a threat to God's priests who couldn't have magicians stealing some of the awe that is due to the God. The final 2 crimes are threats to the patriarchy, so the women must be killed. Worshipping another god, suggesting that someone worship another god, and even proselytizing are protected by the Constitution. But they are capital crimes under biblical principles, as are the other so called crimes for which the Bible commands death: breaking the Sabbath, blasphemy, promiscuity, uh, obstin- obstinacy, being raped, witchcraft, a crime with a unique history on the North American continent. It's hard to quantify the misery caused by the biblical command, "You shall not permit a witch to live." Mark Twain tried. A quote by Mark Twain. The church, after doing its duty in but a lazy and indolent way for 800 years, gathered up its halters, thumbscrews, and firebrands and set about its holy work in earnest. She worked hard at it night and day during 9 centuries, in prison, tortured, hanged, burned whole hordes and armies of witches, and washed the Christian world clean with their foul blood. Then it was discovered that there was no such thing as witches, and never has been. One does not know whether to laugh or to cry. Unquote. Wow. Can you imagine, after all of the torture, the burnings, the executions, only to find out, oh, witches don't exist. They never have, never will. Churches have since abandoned burning and stoning and those accused of witchcraft, but Christian churches today still terrify parishioners and children with the prospect of being burned alive through all eternity. Hell. While almost every culture and religion has an afterlife, Jesus was the first to preach about it as a place of eternal punishment. The place of torment mentioned 162 times in the New Testament and not once in the Old Testament. Now that is ironic. Think about that. Hell was never mentioned once in the Old Testament. Hell was never talked about as a real place. The Bible mentions Sheol, and it was mistranslated as hell, but Sheol was a place where everybody went to after they died in the Old Testament. The Hebrew Bible mentions an unseen world of the dead, Sheol, but Sheol has little in common with Jesus's hell. It was not a place of punishment, but a silent shadow world. Literary heroes of the Hebrew Bible, such as Jacob, David, and even Jesus, supposedly visited Sheol. Job longed to get there. Hell, on the other hand, is most certainly a place of punishment. According to the book of Mark, Jesus taught that it is better to cut off your own hand or foot or put your own eye out than risk being thrown into hell, where the worm never dies and the fire is never quenched. We are told to fear him who can destroy both body and soul in hell. The Christian Bible describes hell as a furnace of fire, a place where the unworthy will burn in an unquenchable fire. The eternal fire, the hell of fire, the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels, eternal punishment, where everyone is salted with fire, a place of torment where uh, residents are in constant agony in those flames. A punishment of eternal fire and the lake that burns with fire and sulfur and brimstone, the lake of fire. Those where those who worship other gods will drink the wine of God's wrath, poured unmixed into the cup of his anger, and they will be tormented with fire and sulfur in the presence of the holy angels, in the presence of the Lamb, and the smoke of their torment goes up forever and ever. There is no rest day or night. Leading Christian writers from the first and the fifth centuries, taking their cues from the Bible, were just as unflinching in their descriptions of hell. Ignatius of Antioch thought that the defiled shall go into unquenchable fire. Irenaeus wrote of the eternal fire for those who should transgress. Cyprian specifically tied eternal torture to people's innate fear of death. Quote, let him fear to die on whom at his going away from life an eternal flame will lay pains that never cease. Augustine of Hippo devoted all 27 chapters of the 21st book of the City of God, 426 CE, to an exposition on the eternal torment, deeming it absurd to suppose that either body or soul will escape pain in the future punishment. After quoting many of the biblical passages cited above, Augustine pointed out, pointed out that both body and soul are tortured, the body by everlasting fire, and that in a body thus tormented, the soul also is tortured with a fruitless repentance. These Christian fathers favor a grisly place, but it is nothing compared to what a truly macabre imagination can do with the heat, torture, and eternity. The colonial preacher Jonathan Edwards from 1703 to 1758 sermonized about the great furnace of wrath, a wide, bottomless pit full of fire of wrath that you are held over in the hand of that God. In a particular foul metaphor, Edwards likened humans to insects subject to this vicious God. The God that holds you over the pit of hell, much as one holds a spider or some loathsome insect over a fire, abhors you and is dreadfully provoked. His wrath towards you burns like fire. You are 10,000 times so abominable in his eyes as the most hateful, venomous serpent is in ours. Okay, this is referencing his sermon, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God. And I'll tell you what, you want to hear some just absolute, just read that sermon. An absolute disgusting portrayal of what he believed his God looked at the human race. We're no more than insects to be burned because we failed to worship him the way that he decided we should worship him. Wow. Think about that for a minute. I think it was Thomas Paine who said, the belief in a cruel God makes a cruel man. Think about that for a minute. Edwards also he spoke admiringly of a future state where he, one of the saved, would watch the damned burn. Think about this. Quote, when you shall be in this state of suffering, the glorious inhabitants of heaven shall go forth and look on the awful spectacle, that they may see what the wrath and fierceness of the Almighty is. And when they see it, they will fall down and adore the great power and majesty. I'm sorry. If I saw somebody being tortured in such a way, that would be the last thing I would think about doing. Okay, think about this. A person is being burned alive and tortured. Do we look at the person who's doing the torturing and admire and fall down and worship that person? What kind of a fucked up mind do you have to be to admire the burning of of an infidel, someone who just didn't believe? Why in the name of fuck would you why would you admire somebody, fall down and worship them? Many Christian thinkers appear to take a perverse pleasure in the idea of hell. No shit. Thomas Aquinas wrote that the eternal torture of the unworthy will be delightful entertainment for the saints. In order that the happiness of the saints may be more delightful to them, that they may render more copious thanks to God for it, they are allowed to see perfectly the suffering of the damned. Why in the name of fuck would you rejoice and and look at the suffering of somebody else and say, "Oh, wow, how wonderful. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus." How could you look at somebody else's suffering and say, "Yes, this is awesome. This is wonderful." The 3rd century Carthaginian author Tertullian was even more joyful at the prospect. What sight shall wake my wonder? What my laughter, my joy, my exultation, as I see all those kings groaning in the depths of darkness, and the magistrates who persecuted the name of Jesus liquefying in fierce flames than they kindled in their rage against the Christians. This hellish delight was alive in America's founding. The Congregationalists, minister and, and president of Yale, Ezra Stiles, smugly recorded Ethan Allen's death in his diary. Died in Vermont, the profane and impious deist Ethan Allen, author of The Oracles of Reason, a book replete with scurrilous reflection and revelation, and in hell he lifted up his eyes, being in torment. What kind of a fucked up asshole takes delight in the torture of someone else, even if that person belonged to a religion you disagreed with? How could you how in the name of God damn, how could you look at somebody suffering and say, beautiful, awesome, great, keep it up, let's have more of that? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Ezra Stiles. That's wonderful. So Ethan Allen. Wow, there's another book I'll have to look into. Now my interest is piqued. Oracles of Reason. by Ethan Allen. Oracles of Reason. I I hope this book is preserved in some form or fashion. Oracles of Reason. I would like to read that. In the outlook, continuing, this outlook is thriving among today's Christians. While revising this chapter, I received a voicemail at the Freedom from Religion Foundation office laced with this self same joy. Quote, "You are all gonna burn in hell. Goody, goody, goody. I'm a Christian. I hope you all burn in hell. You deserve it." Unquote. There's no hate like Christian love. Thank you for that. The Eighth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution could have been written with hell in mind. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel or unusual punishment inflicted. The exact scope of cruel and unusual has not been fully explored by the Supreme Court, partly because of the standard's inherent changeability. But the court has declared that the basic concept underlying the Eighth Amendment is nothing less than the dignity of man. Relatively few cases involve this clause. And an enlightened democracy such as ours, pointed out the High Court. This is not surprising. The court also noted that the state has the power to punish, but the amendment stands to assure that this power is exercised within the limits of civilized and standards. Fines, imprisonments, and even execution may be imposed depending upon the enormity of the crime. But any technique outside the bounds of these traditional penalties is constitutionally suspect. Techniques such as crucifixion, oops, which is simply death by torture, exceed those bounds. The Supreme Court has explicitly said so. If the punishment prescribed for an offense against the laws of the state were manifestly cruel and unusual, as burning at the stake, crucifixion, breaking on the wheel, or the like, wrote in 1890, it would be the duty of the courts to adjudge such penalties to be within constitutional prohibition. So, in other words, if a town were to sentence to death anyone by crucifixion or to be whipped or broken at the wheel, which was a Catholic form of torture, the Supreme Court could step in and say, that's cruel and unusual. You cannot do that. You are not allowed to burn anybody at the stake. Now, remember, in the Bible, it says you're not supposed to suffer a witch to live, and you can burn her with fire. But the Supreme Court in 1890 said you cannot crucify anyone, you're not allowed to burn anyone at the stake, and you cannot break anyone at the wheel. So there was I'm not sure what that form of torture is, but wow. Yikes. Even you're not even allowed to stone anyone to death. You have literally, in 1890, the Supreme Court literally cut out the legs from under biblical torture, biblical capital punishment. That means you're not allowed to use the Bible to enforce law. I mean, burning anyone at the stake, stoning, crucifixion. There, you can't do that. Wow. Looks like the Bible is really not being used as a metric, and we can be thankful of that. Other cruel and unusual punishments, according to the court, including physical penalties such as 15 years of hard, painful labor and irons for falsifying records. So is non-physical punishment such as, let's see, den, denata, wow, denationalism for deserting an army post or deliberate indifference to serious medical needs of prisoners. Even being jailed with a 5-pack a day smoker is cruel and unusual. One would think that if being locked up with a smoker is cruel, the everlasting sulfur in hell is too. The eternity of hell alone would raise serious issues under any standard of cruel and unusual punishment. Unlike the hell in Dante's Inferno, the Bible does not mention varying levels. Hell is one size fits all, and the punishment is eternal. That sinners are punished eternally for finite crimes is arguably hell's greatest offense to justice. Yet, this did not concern St. Augustine. He scorned those tender hearted Christians who declined to believe that any or that all those whom the infallibly just judge may pronounce worthy of the punishment of hell shall suffer eternally, and who suppose that they shall be delivered from a fixed term of punishment, longer or shorter, according to the amount of each man's sin. Aquinas made the same point, though in a slightly different manner. The higher the person against whom it is committed, the graver the sin. It is more criminal to strike a head of the state than a private citizen. And God is of infinite greatness. Therefore, any infinite punishment is deserved for a sin committed against him. So, do you see what Aquinas is saying? You commit an offense against a private citizen. Okay, here's your punishment. But it's even greater if you commit an offense against a head of government. And then when you finally get to God, it's even worse for you. It's even worse. This is the great thinker of the Catholic Church, Aquinas. In Christianity, the punishment does not fit the crime. Every crime rates the same: eternal punishment. Some modern liberal Christians simply describe hell as an eternal separation from Jesus and ignore the persistent graphic descriptions offered by their forebears and the Bible. This interpretation is based on a single quote from 2 Thessalonians. On Judgment Day, those who do not obey the gospel of our Lord Jesus will suffer the punishment of eternal destruction, separated from the presence of the Lord, from the glory of his might. But this separation from the presence is in addition to the torture, not a substitute for it. Even liberally construed, this interpretation does not end the conflict within the Eighth Amendment. A creative interpretation might limit the agony of the hellbound, but the infinity of the punishment. Christopher Hitchens convincingly compared Christianity as a celestial North Korea. And he was careful to add that at least you can fucking die and leave North Korea. Does the Quran or the Bible offer you that liberty? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, the tyranny, the misery, the utter ownership of your entire personality, the smashing of your individuality only begins at the point of death. This is evil. This is a wicked preachment. No matter what the crime, hell is forever. An infinite punishment for a finite crime is antithetical to the Eighth Amendment. Thomas Paine was correct when he wrote, "Of all the tyrannies that afflict mankind, tyranny in religion is the worst. Every other species of tyranny is limited to the world we live in, but this attempts at a stride beyond the grave and seeks to pursue us into eternity. The eternal torture created by Jesus and his unimaginable application of any and every crime is cruel and unusual." Wow. When we think of the punishment for for just unbelief, I mean, the Bible, when you compare it to the Constitution, when you compare it to our founding, when you compare it, I mean, you cannot support it. Our own justice system, our own justice system literally flies in the face of biblical ideology. It literally cancels out the preachments of the Old and New Testament. I mean, think about it. The Christian nationalists are quick. The Christian nationalists are quick to say, "Oh, look at those barbarians in those Islamic countries," and they point to uh, places like Afghanistan, to Iran, to Iraq, and they show how cruel and unusual the punishment is for anyone that rears its head against the government. And they show the stonings, the people being thrown off roofs for simply being gay. And it's like, well, wait a minute. The Muslims are adhering to biblical law. I mean, don't you see how in the world can a Christian look down its nose at a Muslim country, a fundamentalist Muslim country that adheres to biblical law? How in the world can we look at them and say, you are wrong? You should be held accountable for the capital punishment meted out against those who are gay, transgender, lesbians, right? How in the world can we say they're wrong, but then we turn around and embrace fundamentalist Christianity and we allow it to flourish? We allow its profits to infiltrate our government. How in the world can we turn our nose and look down at the people in all of these Muslim controlled countries, Sharia controlled countries? I mean, the irony has to be absolutely crushing. Think about that for a minute. All of these Christian nationalists in our country today would more than love to overwrite the Constitution and enact their version of biblical law. This is why they hate separation of church and state. This is why they're quick to point out that's not even in the Constitution. I mean, you know what? You're right. Let's have an amendment. Let's put an amendment in the Constitution which says the religion can have no say in our government. Let's erect that wall, that same wall that Thomas Jefferson referenced to that pastor, that Baptist minister back in the 1700s. We need a wall separating religion from the state. Keep the church and state separate. That is the only way we're going to preserve our freedom, to preserve this Constitution. That is the only way we're going to preserve this country. And with that, I say thank you for listening to my ramblings and rants. And I look forward to seeing you all some other time. I don't know when, but it'll definitely be later when I do. Thank you so much.